All right. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome in to Wagers on Campus, your home for weekly college football coverage with shows dropping every Wednesday and Friday. And this week, we are talking week 13 as we head into the weekend of a bunch of college football action. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel if you have not already. And if you could share, that would be greatly appreciated. But thank you for giving us a shot and tuning in and checking us out. Hello, everyone. I am Mayor, and I am here with Xander.
Hello.
Hello, indeed. Today, we're going to be recapping what we saw happen in week number 12, while also covering 5 big games. 6 games we feel are of note, games the Sickos are looking at. The Mac Messiah rolls on this week with a light slate of 2 games. We have a teaser, a pleaser, and a quad box parlay, and we're going to send you out of here with some early plays. Before we get into it, Xander, it's great to see your smiling face. How are you today?
I'm doing okay, Alex. Holidays are approaching quickly, and it is the penultimate week of the regular season of college football. How did we get here so fast?
Mm-hmm. Indeed. It is wild. And James Franklin, if I told you that James Franklin would be coaching a different team at this point in the year before the year started, you probably wouldn't have believed me.
No, probably not. I could
Is,
believe he'd be fired, but not coaching another team.
is he is now the head coach of Virginia Tech. And no, he's not finishing out this year as the head coach, but he will be the head coach moving forward for that squad.
Yeah. Yep. That is exciting. That was one of my winners. I thought Virginia Tech got a steal here. A good coach talked about it. Emergency pod when he got fired. Uh, just needs to learn how to develop a quarterback, and he's got everything else at his beck and call. Should be able to build a pretty stout defense in Blacksburg. Like it's a good hire for everyone.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a really good hire. Uh, I was gonna say, you think Mike Vick has a son ready, waiting in the wings, but I don't think he does.
Man, I don't know if he. Do you think he's got that dog in him?
Whoa, probably. All right. Well, we'll get to that in a little bit, but we'll recap week 12 here real quick. Myself, I went 5-6. Not great. Down 2.7 units. Also lost my lock with Texas. Needed Texas to cover. They lost by 25 against Georgia, 35-10. Brings my season record to 55, 60, and 3. Yeah, it's really about it. I need to be better. I've been kind of middling around 500 for these last few weeks and just got to be better as we close out the year. So I'm going to do my best to do that. And then you, Xander, 9-9, down 1.7 units. Season record still positive, 117, 105, and 2. Your lock did not come through, puts you at 6-6 on the year. Thoughts?
Yeah, it was a hell of a grind for week number 12. I will say, obviously, not pleased with the Texas Longhorns, how they performed. The rest of my slate, other two best bets, that's the one thing that's keeping me afloat this season, positive in every way. I think I'm 23-18 in best bets, but those are all bets that I'm putting more than one unit on. So we are up big units from being 5 games over 500 for those. Um, yeah, I mean, it was nice to have San Diego State come through in the end. That was a nice little call there. Utah State not getting over 33.5 in double overtime is unforgivable. Unforgivable. They fucked us before at night in the Hawaii game. This is the last straw. Last straw from the pig farmer. And then Air Force as well. Second time that they've not only missed the over, but have missed it by like 3 scores. They had a drive that was 17 plays, 11 minutes, 85 yards, and it was ended in 0 points, turnover on downs at the goal line.
Oh no.
I mean, if you're on the over and you have that game on the TV,
shut it off.
It's off. It is over. There's no coming back.
That's when you know it. As if an 11-minute drive wasn't bad enough, and they can't even punch it in.
Yeah. Yep. So, yeah, interesting. I'm just going to pose this to all the listeners out there. We're not going to get into it because nothing happened. But let me just ask you something. Hypothetically, if you happen to come to a program or you happen to come to your bar night with your boys and you say, I have my best bet of the season. I've got 5 units on it. I'm so confident in it. I can't wait to play it. And they say, yes, hell yes. 2 days later, you see kind of shade off that. They say, I'm actually going to take the points. I don't believe in your money line. Just hypothetically, what would you say?
Oh, fuck you. Fuck you. That's me supporting my friend and being in alignment with your play. How could you twist that?
I mean, you were probably
sick pervert.
What I would pay to see the smile on your face when it was 14-10 in the fourth quarter of how cheesing you were of the potential happenings.
I think you give me way too much credit, or you think I'm way more of a villain than I actually am. Because it didn't even cross my mind. That is the damn truth.
Yeah, it didn't for me either. I will say it didn't. Seriously, because this is why. It's a pretty funny story here. Kurt came over, watched the big bets, and we realized that I had a red top on for Ohio State, like a turtleneck solid, but I had black jeans on. At halftime, like midway through the third quarter, we realized, like, what the fuck? I'm just wearing straight up Georgia colors here.
Yeah.
Like the Georgia uniform. So I run upstairs. I get on the white turtleneck, the mock neck, and white shorts. Come downstairs and they all whites like Texas. No hyperbole. The next play, when I step into the living room after changing, was that interception from Gunnar Stockton. So when they say when they say you can't control the game from your living room, I fucking beg to differ. I just didn't have enough oomph behind me.
Yeah, you needed some more support or some more orange to add to your outfit.
Exactly.
Fucking A. The Texas Longhorns are dead.
Yeah, they sure are. I think that was my biggest takeaway from the week. Yeah, that late ad of Oregon was pretty sweat-free. Just possessions were so limited, needed touchdowns on every possession. But you knew Minnesota wasn't driving down the field.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, no.
Well, cool. QUADBOX. We didn't do one last week.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, because YouTube TV.
At the hour of midnight, they came through.
Right.
And we were able to get back.
Yeah. And it was crazy. Once they turned the power back on, it was just like, boop, everything's here.
Of course. So easy. I need to refresh real quick. My graphics aren't loading. Un momento.
Okay.
Why don't you talk about what's on top of your mind?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Oklahoma, the Oklahoma Sooners. We're going to get into that in our winter segment, but I guess I'll just talk about the Sooners. And, Oklahoma, to go on the road, and basically this was like a do or die game for the Sooners. They had to beat Bama, because if they didn't, that would get them to 3 losses on the season, and there probably wasn't going to be much recovering from that had they lost to Bama. But Oklahoma, in a complete team effort, goes out there and just gets an absolutely critical win to save their season and very much put them in the driver's seat to make the college football playoff. Oklahoma, in their next 2 games, they are at home for both. So this week they host Missouri as a 7.5-point favorite. And then next week they host LSU. If Oklahoma wins their final 2 games, they're going to be in the playoff. And it was just great to see. It was just great to see an overall team effort.
Couldn't agree more, and that's a perfect segue to what I had as the winners and losers of the week, because that's number 1 on my category. Season's completely flipped. A little pissed at myself. I was on the wrong future. I was calling out Texas 30-1. Oklahoma was 65-1 to win the national championship last week. You want to take a guess? I'm guessing you haven't looked at the futures market. You want to take a guess of what they're at right now?
I would say they're at 25-1.
Alex Mayer, the bookmaker. That is exactly right. 25-1. Wow. Right. Yeah, they're 25-1. So there's a $400 given away if you're a $10 better there.
Yep.
By not hopping on earlier. Listen, I think their path lines up well. And then they'll get that nice little bye, not playing in the SEC championship. So I think their path looks very good as long as they don't get the 8 seed, because that would involve playing either Ohio State or Indiana in the second round.
Fair, but I am not willing to go there yet with that squad. I am not going to say I'm nervous for these final 2 games, but I certainly don't think it's a shoo-in either, especially with the way Missouri ran the ball last week.
Sure, but that is the bread and butter. We'll talk about that game breakdown. I just think when we look back at the season, this final stretches, we're like, oh, fuck, how does Oklahoma get through it? And the way it all played out, Nussmeier basically, injured. Missouri down to their 3rd-string quarterback, beat up. There is rumors that Perbula might play this week, but he's not starting. It's like another Mateer situation. Like, let's not even touch that. No need. Missouri, the season's over for the playoff. Save the kid.
I would guess that they win their final 2 games. However, it wouldn't even surprise me if they lost one of them to Missouri or LSU.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know what also is a big winner of Oklahoma is us. Can we get a round of applause for us?
Yeah. We sure can.
Alex and Xander both had Oklahoma over 7.5 wins on the season at plus 110. Alex had 4 units on it. I myself had 2.5 units on it. That cashes with 2 games to go, and that's what we call a no sweat in the futures market when you have some games to spare. That was a nice little hit there.
Yeah, much needed, because when you look at my college football futures of Heisman winners and so much fucking money on LSU and Clemson, I needed that one. And my next one that I need is Oklahoma to make the college football playoff at plus 550.
Yep. That's a good one. And Texas Tech to win the national championship.
And Texas Tech to win the Natty. And if we're just talking all the bets, I got Georgia Tech to make the playoff. Don't know if it's going to happen, but I do have Georgia Tech to make the playoff at plus 750.
Yep, we all do. Or the 2 of us do.
Okay.
So that'll be nice. That'll be nice. Perfect. Talked about Virginia Tech. Don't need to bring that up anymore. Good hire. 3rd winner, USC. I thought that their performance against Iowa was a kind of an unveiling of this new Lincoln Riley. I thought, again, got punched in the face. Iowa's running up and down the field. How about that? It seems like the 2 games you've bet on Iowa, they've become like scoring machines. Unfortunately, you were on the wrong side this time on the first half team total, or the first half under But Iowa scores 21 in the first half. And USC at one point was down 21-7 in bad condition, in Iowa conditions. Like USC could have just gotten run out of their own building. Battled back, completely dominated the second half. And man, they look strong and not your air it out, no defensive team.
Yeah, like you said, typical USC team would have folded, and that would have been that. But this team has some grit and has some toughness and some character to them. So obviously they got to bring that into Eugene when they play Oregon this upcoming weekend, because that is their season on the line.
Yeah, and they control their own destiny. So if they win out, they need Michigan to beat Ohio State, and USC would be in the Big Ten championship. Obviously, head-to-head win over Michigan, and I believe since they didn't play Ohio State, that it's common opponent record, and Oklahoma would have. Well, I don't know, because Ohio State beat Illinois, and then USC would have beat Michigan. I don't know. Maybe it's gets down to like rock paper scissors, best out of 7. But I think USC is representing if that's how it plays out.
If USC beats Oregon and they beat UCLA, but they don't play in the Big Ten championship game, are they in the playoff?
Yeah, absolutely.
That puts them at 10. That puts them at 10-2, but they're not playing in the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah, no, they're in.
They're in.
Yeah, with a win over Oregon. See, that's a great question, because I think this is a win or go home for both teams if they're both winning out. Like, I don't think Oregon's in the playoff if they lose this week.
Really?
I don't think they have a strong enough resume at 10-2. They don't have any wins.
Their best win would be Oregon.
Oregon's best win would be Oregon?
Iowa, excuse me. It would be Iowa or that Penn State game early in the season.
Yeah, exactly. A 6-loss Penn State team, you're going to get laughed out of the Twitters first. Like, it's nothing. Like, they have a terrible resume when you compare it to a bunch of 10-2 SEC teams. And Oregon would not be faring well if they lost to USC this week.
Oof. That's a really interesting one. That's a really interesting scenario. Okay.
And in that same scenario, if Michigan would go 10-2, it's like you're obviously taking USC over Michigan, because the head-to-head was so, like, it wasn't close. Like, they dominated them.
For sure.
And yeah, but that's just not going to happen. So I'm really, really pissed. I'm getting a little sidetracked here. Saw Ohio State last week, look ahead line 5.5 over Michigan. This week, 12.5.
That's unreal.
Gave away a touchdown.
Wow.
Yeah. So, not good.
And you knew the whole time.
Yeah. Just should have ripped 5.5. Should have ripped it. Just got greedy. Thought maybe, Michigan would blow out a team like Northwestern, but there we go. All right, let's talk about the losers of the week. There was one guy in here that's, going to get an award from us from biggest loser of the season. So I believe he makes his 4th appearance at number 2. But debuting on the losers of the week, Pat Narduzzi. Come on up, bud. You are the biggest fucking loser in college football, if I've ever seen one. To come out and unironically talk about getting beat by 100 and basically setting the pace for it early was, the most disgusting. It should be disqualification from any postseason play, in my opinion. Texted you how furious I was. It's just, it's unexplainable what happened that entire week lead up and then in the game.
Can't make comments like that during the week and then your team actually goes out and gets their ass kicked.
Yeah. I mean, it happened earlier this year too, and we didn't give them enough hell. But Lincoln Riley talking about the 11 a.m. kick in Champaign, and they go on to lose that game, and now they're a borderline playoff team. It's like these coaches, what are they doing talking about the negatives like for everyone to see?
Exactly. There's no excuses. What the fuck are we doing?
Yeah. So Pat Narduzzi, you are biggest loser of the week. Second biggest loser, 4-time recipient of the biggest losers of the week, Shane Beamer. Boy, oh boy. Just know when you go to your job and you're just contemplating what could have happened in a better career path, that this loser, Shane Beamer, gets paid like $4 million a year to be completely incompetent at his role, pumping up the away crowd going into the locker room, and then the team just didn't come out. Texas A&M scores 21 points in what felt like 3 minutes and 30 seconds of real time, not even game time. And somehow, by the grace of God, they get the ball back with a chance to win, just to get in field goal range. And Lenore Sellers runs out of bounds on 4th and 12.
Brutal loss for South Carolina in a brutal season for the Gamecocks.
Number 15 preseason ranked. Imagine just losing every single week at your job and just having the security to know you're coming back. And then the third biggest loser, talked about it a little bit, Texas. Outplayed, outcoached, out everything on Saturday. The onside kick was the biggest flex of I'm so much better at coaching than you are, from Kirby Smart to Steve Sarkisian. It was unbelievable. And from Travion Henderson's screenplay at half last year in the playoff to this, to many others, Sarkisian's just not a good head coach. He's not. And for him to have the like oblivious like halftime, we're running the ball well, when they can't get a lick, like their average was based on one like gash play. It was ugly from start to finish. He's got to go. He has got to go. He's the new James Franklin. Can't win a big one.
I heard there was some talk that maybe he's going to go to the NFL.
Yeah, he should. See ya.
And that Lane Kiffin might take over Texas.
Man, is Lane Kiffin he's going to work remotely. He's just going to head coach 4 jobs.
Seems like it at this point. I heard he was non-committal when he was asked about it today in an interview.
Yeah. Well, let's just get into that before we talk about this week, because I have a few thoughts on that with Lane. And, do you think some of these programs are maybe starting to regret pulling the trigger so quickly?
From a firing standpoint?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I guess my inkling would be no, but I'm curious to hear why you would say yes.
Well, once you finally go out and see what's on the market, it's like, hold on.
Mm-hmm.
We're in this weird dynamic of college football where it's like the parents of the kids that they would just reward bad behavior just to shut up the kids. Like, those are the people now deciding coaching, like getting higher positions. And the kids now are the vocal minority. And there's a lack of realism in college football when it comes to being able to accept losses. Like, there's one winner in a 136 team division. There's one winner every single year. There's 2 to 3 teams that have earned the right to expect a national championship every single year. Now, you can expect a right to compete for a national championship. That's fair. But there's 2 to 3 teams that are if it's not a national championship season, we're a little disappointed here because that's what we've proven we can do. Now, you see all these teams now firing left and right. They just can't accept wins. And it's opening up this, like, grass is always greener, and that's where we get to Lane Kiffin. And I truly think, like, he is, and I don't think Ole Miss is handling this correctly. News broke this week that they want it decided by the Egg Bowl, which is next week. You're just like, you've got a one-loss team here. You've got to gear up for the playoffs. You got to get ready to go. Like, coaches move on in the offseason. I get it's a new transfer portal and everything. But, maybe the guy does want to stay at Ole Miss. Maybe a national championship would do that. And maybe, it's not necessarily every other year a job like LSU or Florida opens up. And now all of a sudden, he is getting pulled. Like, it's kind of like a devil and an angel on a shoulder here. And it feels like genuine feelings of, like, what uncertainty is my life going to lead if I do go to Florida or LSU when Oxford hasn't been a blue blood program? Or do I just stay in Mississippi for the rest of my life? So it feels like some genuine feeling, but Lane Kiffin getting the unfair treatment here, being like the only person that can take over these jobs.
Right. Like, where are the other people to step up or be as good as Lane? Just so happens this year his team is trying to make the college football playoff, so he's got some juggling to do right now.
Yeah, that's right. He does. And I know Florida just had a mid-major meltdown with Billy Napier. That didn't work out. Doesn't mean you completely light that entire ship on fire. There's a great coach at Toledo that'd be incredible at Florida. Jason Candle, all-time winningest coach at Toledo. He's turned that program into an NFL factory on defense. I just think he'd be great as a Florida Gator.
Yeah. All right, keep pushing that narrative.
Last thing, did you see this asinine meeting for the 2014 playoff?
No.
Oh, you didn't?
Nope, I didn't see it.
Okay, well, there was a meeting, a very introductory, just like exploratory phase meeting that was a 2014 playoff. Every conference champion would get a bid. There'd be like multiple stage buys, X amount of at-large. It's disgusting, Alex, that they're even talking about this. It's pathetic. I mean, the 12 team I like, and I don't mind going to 16 because you're keeping the same amount of rounds if we can add home field to another round. But to discuss this is just a complete, like, abomination to college football, the spirit of it. Like, this is the cash, like, grabbing just succubuses getting their hands on something that was so pure. And it's not even the kids' fault for getting paid. It's the people that are somehow getting paid off these kids' backs. It's almost like if we could just turn like GAs come in and they just help, like, on the sidelines. Like, we could have students run the NCAA. I'm not even kidding. Like, it's just like a rotational election thing. Once you graduate, you're done. Pass it off. Like, there is no need for these scumbags, sleaze, losers to be in here getting their fingerprints all over it, like taking games overseas. Just stop it. stop all of it.
Sorry, I don't have a hot take to challenge you. I agree. I agree. Just make sure Dr. Pepper keeps sponsoring that halftime show for the SEC championship game.
Yeah.
We need that challenge.
We need some chest passes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just can't. It doesn't seem like it's like on the hot like stove or just like on sort of like any sort of expedited path here. But even bringing it up, I mean, now we're just in a phase where people aren't even batting an eye at 2 losses, and they're just like hollering at why is my 2-loss team? 2 losses used to mean we're getting ready to go to Florida for the Citrus Bowl or something, or we're gonna get our bowl package together. Like people are just getting too comfortable with being okay.
24 is, come on.
Well, should we talk this week's football now that we got all that craziness off our chest?
Yes, please. Let's get into the games. We're going to start with the big games, and we'll start with USC taking on Oregon at 2:30 p.m. Central. CBS. Oregon in this game is laying 10.5, over under 59.5. You think USC is able to keep this one close and be competitive in a game that decides their season?
Yeah, I really do, Alex. I really, really, really do. I like what USC, I mean, just kind of gushing about them a little earlier. And I see similarities here. Now, obviously, there's a bit of a difference in quarterback play, but to the Michigan game for USC, Oregon has been very run heavy when it comes to any sort of packaging this year. They want to run the ball first. They want to be a power offense against you. And USC also kind of wants to run the ball, right? So when I look at those two comparisons, I'm just trying to pull up the percentage that Oregon's running at. Yeah, over 50, like right at 56%, which is 38th in the country for percentage of runs. And so they're averaging 6.3 yards a rush. USC, 5.6 yards per rush. That's 1 and 9 in the country, respectively. So it'll be interesting to see these two proponents here. I know people are just kind of reminiscing about the old Pac-12 days, getting over this number. I don't know if we can get over with those styles of play and limiting possessions. What do you think?
Yeah, I would lean USC plus the points here as well. I think Oregon is kind of living off their brand and living off their name at the moment. Not to say that they're a bad team or even an average team, but I don't think they're quite as good as they have been in years past. And they have had a lot of injuries this year, which has slowed them down. And I recognize that, especially on the offensive side of the ball. But we just talked about USC being a tough, gritty team. This is a squad that has already played a road game against Notre Dame this year. So I think they'll be motivated, certainly motivated, but focused and ready to go. And I think they'll challenge Oregon very much in this spot. So I think that's too many points. And I would concur. I'd go with the under 59.5.
Yeah, and when you look at like where else they can succeed, is USC just has like these two freaks that are going to be playing NFL football at wideout with Lemon and Lane. And when Indiana challenged Oregon secondary with Surratt and Cooper, they were able to get a lot of success. Obviously, USC's line is going to be a little different than Indiana's. Indiana's very elite, but this defense has shown the ability to, at least limit the pass and force you to run the ball. So we'll see if they'll be prepared with weeks kind of leading up to this. This has definitely been circled on the schedule. Oregon doesn't have like much havoc and stuff to write home about either. So this just has to be a one-score game, right?
It feels like it. This is a good game. It's an early kick in Oregon. I believe it'll be 12:30 when they kick there. So,
yep.
Yeah, it's a great game and very meaningful for both sides in terms of making the college football playoff.
Hey, finally they gave fucking Gary Danielson and Brad Nessler a game on CBS.
God, been waiting all year.
Jesus Christ. They just they wake up in cold sweats in their sleep to Georgia, Florida. Just the icons, or just Alabama versus Tennessee at 2:30.
The glory days, sponsored by Home Depot.
Yep, exactly.
Another game with big time potential college football playoff implications is next. It is Pitt going on the road, taking on Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is a 2.5-point favorite at home, over under 61.5, 6 p.m. Central on ESPN. If Georgia Tech wins this game, they are going to be playing in the ACC championship game.
Yep, that's right. They have, I believe, good old-fashioned hate is what the rivalry is called. They have the Georgia game next week. So, not to start looking ahead, but also that could be crazy. Georgia Tech beats Georgia, both 10-2. Georgia wouldn't play in the SEC championship if everyone else wins out. Whoa, Nelly.
Yeah, it would be nuts. But like when I look at this game, dude, I'm looking at two teams who are currently trending in the wrong direction as far as Pitt last week, that showing against Notre Dame, and then Georgia Tech. I mean, this team has been showing signs of real trouble for a little bit too long now. Basically the whole month of November. And I know they've only played 2 games, but they lost against NC State on the road. Then they had a bye, and then they beat Boston College by 2 points last week.
And they were trailing the entire game. Like, that was not a good game for them.
Right. I mean, their defense, dude. Boston College threw for 362 yards. They ran for another 175. This is a Boston College team that is 1-10 on the season. I'm really concerned. I'm really concerned about Georgia Tech. They're going to have to dig deep and really find something this week. Obviously, primetime game at home. The stakes couldn't be higher. I don't think it'll be a motivation thing, but I could only win Pitt at this moment based on what I've seen from Georgia Tech.
Yeah, got to make sure Pitt's healthy on that line. Obviously, Haynes Cook's ability to run, Haynes King's ability to run. Yeah, I mean, listen, Heinschel, bad game against Notre Dame. Bad game. Maybe just the game plan. Still blame it on Narduzzi. But I think this game is just reminiscent of that NC State game. I think Georgia Tech will be able to score enough, and I like the over 61 in this game. I'll be rooting for the first ever tie. Goes to 12 overtimes, and they just say, guys, that's enough. We got to call the game. we only have it rented out till 10:30.
Yeah, this is crazy because if Pitt wins the game, they got to win their final game, and then they're in the ACC championship more than likely, right?
Yeah, they play Miami in the final game.
Okay.
They're going to get fucking demolished next week, and I hope they win this week so that line's a little favorable to us.
Okay. Even with your Georgia Tech to make the playoff ticket, you're cheering for Pitt?
Oh, I mean, I was getting a little ahead of myself. You're right. But I just don't I'll be pulling for Georgia Tech, but I just don't think they can win this game if everyone's healthy on Pitt's defense.
I know I'm not feeling great about it either. I think the wrong team is favored at the moment. We'll see. Keep an eye on the injury report. Next game, BYU on the road, taking on a Cincinnati team that has started to fade a little bit over these last couple of games. You know, Cincy was riding high, lost to Utah. No shame in that, but coming home and losing to Arizona last week, that was a tough loss to take. And BYU, on the other hand, you know, they had a tough loss themselves against Texas Tech, but they got off the mat. They crushed TCU last weekend. So, man, this is BYU's. This is such a massive game for BYU, and I don't know if Cincinnati still has a shot, but BYU laying 2.5 on the road, 7 p.m. Central on Fox. 54.5 is your number. You know, based on what I've seen from BYU so far this season, they strike me as a team that isn't really intimidated. I just think they just need to go out and execute. I would currently lean BYU, even laying those points on the road. Cincinnati is not in their best form at the moment, I don't think.
Yeah, I would have to agree. And BYU's defense matches up well. And Cincinnati, they get the chunk plays, but they don't throw it as much as you think. 87th in the country in pass play scheme, 111th in the country in completion percentage. So, I think we called it out when they first lost. A little bit of fool's gold. It was a good story. But the way BYU is trending and just how hard they play for Satake is truly like, you're telling me I get to lay under a field goal? Like, it just feels like they're going to be playing for the Big 12 championship against Texas Tech again. I think they're the only team that, I don't know. Utah, I don't know how that, or BYU has head to head. So, yeah, they control their own destiny over Utah beating them. So, you got to lay the points with BYU and say you have egg on your face under a field goal.
Yeah.
Will be a great environment, though, and Big Noon Kickoff will be there. So that home at night, that always gets a little weird.
Yeah. And then we got Louisville on the road taking on SMU, where we see SMU is a 2.5-point home favorite, over under 52.5, 11 a.m. Central, ESPN2. So, Xander, what implications does this game have potentially for SMU?
Only SMU can get hurt here. All three of Louisville's losses are in the ACC, so they're out. Obviously SMU would have a head-to-head tiebreaker over Miami, but this would knock them up at 2. And then obviously Georgia Tech and Pitt, one of them is going to get knocked down to 2 losses. But that will be Georgia Tech's last game. So the ACC is so wide open right now, and Virginia, pretty sure they have a pretty easy path to close out. They've got Virginia Tech as their last game. They only have one more game. So I think Miami basically needs everyone to lose ahead of them.
Yeah. Seems like it. As far as this game is concerned, I could only look towards SMU laying the 2.5. I mean, unless I'm missing something, unless like the quarterback's not playing, I don't mean to dramatize this, but like Louisville not looking good, lost to Cal, lost to Clemson last week. SMU is definitely shown to be a pretty strong home team these last couple of years, including beating Miami this year. Yeah, I'd have to lay him with SMU. That would have to be my lean.
Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe a buy low situation for Louisville. I mean, SMU's just kind of been the beneficiary of a decent schedule this year. Man, yeah, I don't know. I just feel something feels like a rat line with how poorly Louisville's been playing, at least the results wise.
Mm-hmm.
But SMU coming off a bye, but they got BC before that. Yeah, I mean their ACC schedule has been BC, Wake, Club Nicolet, Clemson, Stanford, Syracuse.
Miami.
Miami. Yeah, obviously. Everyone but Miami. And then they lost to TCU as well.
And they lost to Baylor.
And Baylor. Like those are two teams that we have now seen aren't very impressive either. So Braum as a dog is always something to be aware of, and that's what concerns me about just getting on these ponies, because I think Louisville's defense has a significant advantage. I would I'd maybe lean under here, 52.5.
Okay. And then we got Missouri taking on Oklahoma. Oklahoma laying 7.5 at home. Over under 42.5. 11 a.m. Central, ABC. We already talked about it. If Oklahoma wins their final 2 games of the year, they make the playoff. Missouri is looking to play spoiler. Sounds like Bo Prabula might play in this game for Missouri, but sounds like he would not start if that ends up happening. What do you think in this one? Missouri, Oklahoma.
I think the under. This is going to be an interesting play calling game because we've seen Missouri just get out of their element. The bigger the game, the quicker they are to stop running the ball. The only problem is they can't throw the ball right now. And if Oklahoma is just going to contain that run, they're also going to get pressure. They showed a lot of pressure, 4-man rushes last week against Bama. And, Missouri has a solid team. Obviously, Ahmad Hardy, 300 yards last week. Finally ran the ball, and look what happened. So I'd be interested to see if they stick with it, Missouri, that is. If they can break a few plays, just wearing down. Because Oklahoma, although they look very impressive against the run, they haven't seen a archetype like this the entire season. Mississippi likes to run the ball, but not as heavy. Texas game you could throw away. So bizarre. Everything that happened there. I mean, I guess Michigan, but Oklahoma was so in control of that game that they completely threw Michigan's game plan out the window. So it's not. I'd be way more happy to lay points against LSU next week. This would be the game that would concern me as an Oklahoma future holder.
I'm concerned.
Are you going to elaborate?
Ahmad Hardy, 25 carries, 300 yards last week, an average of 12 yards per carry. You look at his season stats, he's already ran for over 1,300 yards. He's averaging 6.7 yards per carry. I think you make a good point. You can look at Oklahoma's run defense rankings. They're second or third in the nation in rushing yards allowed per game. So got to give him credit. But you're right. This just feels like a red-hot running back, a really, really, really red-hot running back coming into town and looking to play spoiler. And if you're Oklahoma, you can't. You gotta prevent the big runs from happening. You can do a great job of shutting down the run, but you can't allow 2 or 3 like big time explosives. And I'm a little concerned about that. So
I think
I don't know.
a bonus statistic to help our under claim. Both teams, Missouri and Oklahoma, top 5 in sack percentage for the season. On the inverse, Missouri 100th in the country in sacks allowed, and Oklahoma 97th in the country in sacks allowed.
Okay,
so
supports the
positive
under
for the under.
Yeah, I would lean the under with you there, and I could only lean Mizzou plus the 7.5. It's not a bet I'm racing to get to the window because this is an Oklahoma team that is second in the nation in run defense. So maybe they show up. Maybe they show up and they win this game, 24-6. Who knows?
But also, they're also trying to find their own identity with the run. as they gear up to try and get to the playoff here.
Right.
But they've had the weirdest identity of all time. Maybe just a defensive team that carries them to a championship.
And a great kicker.
Really great.
Tate Sindel.
Talk about the legs on that guy, huh? Mayor text me about him. Screenshots.
He is money. Lefty too. Southpaw.
That always freaks me out.
Right. Week 13, games of note. We'll start with Friday night. Hawaii at UNLV. It's a big game for the Mountain West Conference. UNLV, 3-point favorite, over under 54.5, 9:30 p.m. Central, FS1.
I'm back on him. I can't quit him. I'm on the over in this game. That's disgustingly low. Did I even type that in correctly?
Oh, it's 64.5.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say, that's a smash spot, like, please up to 64.5. Please 10 points. Yeah, I'll take 64.5. Not a graphic unless there's a typo on it, obviously. But UNLV's defense, against the run and overall in available yards, bottom 20 in the country. Hawaii's offense, right in the 33 range, 33 to 45 range when it comes to advanced statistics. When we're trying to push the ball, they haven't really run very well, but they have passed the ball pretty well in the breakdown. And both teams have a mobile quarterback. Can Eliano stay healthy? I don't know if I can get to a side in this game. I just expect fireworks from both sides, especially in that dome. We got to ride the over on Friday night.
Yeah. The winner of this game, are they going to be in the conference championship?
I believe UNLV, if they win, they would be in because Hawaii has 2 losses in the Mountain West. But doesn't UNLV? I don't know the Mountain West breakdown.
Okay.
I'll have all the scenarios next week laid out.
Sounds good. We'll move on to your squad, Ohio State. Yet another home game against a shitty team. What is with this schedule? I mean, every week it's like Minnesota, Purdue, Rutgers.
At Purdue.
Is it just indicative of just the Big Ten? I mean,
yes.
My God, what the hell? Can we get like I don't know, just a somewhat competitive game for Ohio State? They can still be at home, but give me Iowa at Ohio State. What is this?
You think that game would be competitive?
What is this?
Of all the teams?
What is this Rutgers not? Well, I wasn't going to go for the obvious, but what is this Rutgers nonsense?
Yeah, but things to note here. Probably not going to see Jeremiah Smith or Carnell Tate in this game. And there's a chance we don't see him till the playoff. With precautionary injuries. Jeremiah Smith played 22 snaps last week. Obviously, you see him limping off the field. It looks more like a cramp or just sore. Didn't look like anything. And everyone on the sideline was not too concerned about it. So I wouldn't be concerned about it if they aren't, like, if he was injured and they're just having him like walk around and sign stuff after the game. Like that we'd be in grounds of class action lawsuit type situation here.
Yeah, he's fine.
He's totally fine. The Michigan thing might be a stretch, but I would definitely expect to see neither of them this game. Carnell Tate did have an injury, sustained that, I believe, in the Purdue game. And they're just being overly cautious with him because they are going to, again, 31.5-point favorites here. Rutgers has maybe the worst rush defense we've seen in years here, comparable to UMass. Something in the water up there that just has these boys extra soft in that liberal New England area. Liberal.
Okay. There he is. It took him 55 minutes, but there he is.
No, yeah, I mean, just, everything about this game just, and I added the under to my card last week, and I'm on back-to-back Ohio State losses on my card. They covered the spread, and you could tell from 5 minutes into that UCLA game that game was over. Like the Nico news coming out on Friday, the backup, his first career start, that he was like, it was throwing lambs to a slaughter. It was just not very nice for what happened. They should have had if they had a transfer, someone more senior to get in there and get some snaps. So I see Ohio State winning this game completely on defense. They're going to get a lot of Bo Jackson, a lot of Isaiah West, heavy on the run. So I would lean towards the under again here, under 55.5.
Yep, me too. Don't know if Rutgers will score a point. Their team total is 10.5.
I will say Julian Sain's worst week was last week. It's just saying, like, Ferrari missed a step coming out of the driveway a little bit, but forecast looks a little chilly, maybe freezing rain next week. There could be a bit of a flexing here to make that overall stat sheet look a little nicer, especially with Indiana on a bye.
Next game to talk about, Miami on the road taking on Virginia Tech. Miami is an 18.5 point favorite on the road. The over-under is 48.5. Obviously, Miami cannot afford any sort of weird stumble. Do you think they win, and do you think they win by margin?
Yeah, before we talk about this game specifically, I did want to talk about Miami and last week. That's on us. That's on us as self-proclaimed college football knowers. For us to both kind of talk the way we did about NC State, that was the biggest rat line of all time last week. Of just the two of us just hopping on it like we knew something that was on. We'll both put our hands up there. Like Vegas didn't know what they were doing. How bad was that line?
Yeah, we failed to sniff it out like someone with long-term COVID.
Nice. That was good. Yeah, 41-7 last week, an absolute dismantling of NC State. Virginia Tech, maybe just walking around a little more pep in their step this week with the James Franklin hire. Things are starting to murmur around the locker room. Just the future is in place. And I got to tell you, the future won't be with a lot of these players because they stink. Got to take Miami here. All the style points they can get. They continue to get completely distracted. Got a nice little tweet going viral right now with the goose verbal meme, the goose close up, and then the second layer of it is the goose chasing the guy, reiterating the same thing again. And it's in response to the college football playoff saying Miami's losses are worse than Notre Dame's, but refusing to acknowledge that Notre Dame's loss is to Miami. Now, we're not going to get too deep into this because we still have 2 weeks to go, but if both of them get in and Notre Dame's ranked higher, I can live with that. That's fine. But if it comes down to the final playoff position and Notre Dame gets in over Miami specifically, I'm ready to burn the whole thing down. We might as well get a group of women book club looking for, a few glasses of Chardonnay and have them just put the team's colors on the board, and we'll just have them pick that instead.
If that's what ends up happening.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, congrats on doing numbers on that tweet. It just keeps going up and up.
Simple but to the point.
Yeah, I got nothing on this game. Sorry. No clue.
It's just Miami's. We got to remember who's Miami's defense, who's their identity. Like, they will smother Virginia Tech here. This is going to make it to my card. I do like Miami. Anything up to 20.5.
Okay. Sweet. Washington State on the road taking on James Madison. You got JMU laying 13.5. The over-under is 42.5, 12 p.m. Central, ESPN Plus. So JMU, they got a shot to make the playoff, right?
Yeah, big time. And I'll tell you what, one of the more I know the program is down, but one of the more shocking numbers to see on the bottom line last week was James Madison 58, App State 10. I mean, they just beat the absolute brakes off of App State. Yeah, James Madison is the second highest team in the group of 5 ranking. Tulane, who are they? Who are they, right? They lost by 24 to UTSA. I feel like James Madison should already be ahead of Tulane. Alonzo Barrett, he was our first team Sun Belt quarterback, like preseason. He's coming into form. I mean, they look really, really good, not just for a G5 team. This is who I would want to represent the G5 as a potential upset. The way they're playing ball, I mean, they were up in Louisville. That was a slugfest earlier in the season, week 2. So it's not like they can't compete with teams that have elite talent. So the reason I wanted this to cover, though, is that Washington State, all those transfers in from South Dakota State, this team is really starting to figure something out. I think it started at Ole Miss. A 3-point loss there, followed by a 2-point loss to Virginia, 2 teams that are vying for playoff spots. Completely dismantle a tough Toledo team. I do say that tongue in cheek, but that is a tough, like one of the best defenses in the country, no matter what the conference. I know some may roll their eyes at me, but look at the numbers. They back it up. And then an embarrassing loss to Oregon State, but then come back last week, and that was a game that another hand up. Only an 8-point favorite to La Tech. I just think Washington State, I know they're coming across the country, but it is too good of a team talent-wise to be giving away 2 touchdowns. So I think a test for JMU. I like Wazoo with the points here.
Yeah, I like the thought process. Interesting game with big-time implications. So we'll see. How about Tennessee taking on Florida? Is Tennessee done, or do they still got a shot to make the playoff? Do you think?
They're done, but there's some weird SEC talking heads that think they have a shot. They're absolutely done. They're cooked. 3 losses? Now we're getting fucking crazy. I'd rather have just give me a second G5 team over a 3-loss Power 4 team.
Well, two of them being at home as well.
Exactly. So, but what about this game? What do you think about this game? Because this game weirds me out.
Yeah, I mean the line's 4.5. Tennessee laying the 4.5 over under 57.5. I mean, I thought Florida responded after getting embarrassed by Kentucky. Obviously, that game against Ole Miss was competitive, but kind of the same old story with Florida is that they ran out of gas, especially on offense, which has just seemed to kind of weigh them down all season long. But at home, they have some wins. They beat Texas. They beat Mississippi State. They're definitely a better, more formidable team at home. This game is in the swamp at night under the lights against their rival, who just isn't that good this year. Like, sure, are they having a better season than Florida? Yes, but do I really think Tennessee is better than Florida? Honestly, no. If that makes sense, like I just think this Tennessee team is just perfectly average, similar to this Florida team, even though there's been a lot more drama around Florida this year. So hopefully this doesn't get clipped, but Gators plus the points, no doubt about it.
Yeah, you do have to wonder, though, season basically gone. only 2 games left. Our players think of transfer, stay healthy. Like, is our Florida players going to get up for this game?
Right.
That's my concern.
Yeah.
And that's something that you can't cap. But you're going to know pretty much immediately from when you're watching the game. Being paid as a player, I think that helps stay in it more. Not just putting your body on the line for a meaningless game for nothing is one thing. I do think Tennessee's offense has the ability to score here. I'm eyeing up that over, but can Florida, like you said, keep the foot on the gas and not run out? That's the only thing. This is a decent number, so I'd lean over, but I don't know if I'm going to get to window on it.
Yeah. And then this game, man, I'm wearing the Vanderbilt hat today on the pod. It is Kentucky taking on Vanderbilt, and Vanderbilt's laying 9.5 points in this spot. Sorry, I can't see the graphic here. I'm just pulling it up on my phone. Vanderbilt's laying 9.5. Over under is 52.5. Do you have concerns, Xander? Do you have concerns about Vanderbilt blowing their season in this game?
Well, obviously we know that Pavia plays better from behind. Pause. But I do think that the bye week would help. I'm not too concerned here. Like, I just know that that's going to weird people out. Vanderbilt minus 9.5. But, we look at Kentucky. Mark Stoops, is he going to keep his job again? Just kind of what he's done with this team of just the merry orphans of the SEC. It feels like. Put a beat down on 10-0 Tennessee Tech, but they have 5 wins this season, one short of a bowl game. Is it going to be against close rivals Vanderbilt or Louisville next week? We shall see, but I wouldn't bet on it this week. We're going to put actual stats behind it. Kentucky has been like an average defense. Not poor, not great. They can't pass the ball. They can run it. Obviously, that's always in their DNA. But when it comes to, let's see, a few advantages here, I look at, obviously, Vanderbilt's ability to explode. Offensive explosiveness in rushing, passing, early down yardage. I think they're going to be able to jump out and then outlast Kentucky. They're going to jump out to a lead and outlast them. I like it under that 10 number. I would lay it with Vandy here. Get it while we can.
Okay. Let me ask you this. If Vanderbilt wins this week and then next week they beat Tennessee, do they get in the college football playoff?
I don't know. They might be the odd team out.
Yeah.
Who have they beaten, really?
I know.
Missouri's kind of tail spinning. We're hoping Oklahoma gets that win this week. So they just might be the odd team out.
Yep. Kind of see it the same. But I hope we get to have the conversation. I
agree. 100% agree.
All right. Is it time for sicko mode?
Yes. Good call. The old sicko slates. It's a big one this week. It's a weird card because the SEC is just playing their quote unquote bye week.
Yeah. Well, we will start with Liberty taking on Louisiana Tech, where this game is essentially a pick'em, at least on the book I'm looking at.
Yeah.
And the over-under is 44.5. Liberty, La Tech. What do you think?
I mean, how about this is just so sick, and I wanted to talk about it because it's a pick'em, and I think if I could pull up our preseason odds, I think Liberty was like one of the top conference favorites, somewhere near like even money. They were right there with like Boise State. They got 6 losses on the season. Jamie Chadwell just kind of lost the vibe here. Liberty sucks. But they're 3-3 in the conference. So is Louisiana Tech. This game means something towards them getting to a bowl. Liberty travels well. I've got to go with the Flames to keep their season alive here in a pick'em. And I just wanted to talk about it because they've been such a massive disappointment. Our boy Ethan Vasco leading the way, but losing to the Fighting Pitbulls in overtime last week. Missouri State the week before that. It's like these boys just one of the most head scratching Group of 5 seasons I've ever seen.
Yeah. Well, that is a sicko game to say the least. Shout out Malik Willis. That was a sick touchdown pass he threw against the Giants. Hey, for tonight,
Who cares?
Is your favorite play Central Michigan, Kent State over?
Yes.
Would you still take the over at 50.5?
I certainly hope so. If I'm banking on it ending at 50, we'd be in trouble.
All right. That's why I ask. All right. How about Duke at North Carolina? Rivalry action.
Speaking of sickos, head coach of one.
I'm sorry?
The sicko on the sidelines for UNC.
For sure. You're what am I trying to say? Your idol, Belichick.
Yeah.
Leader of the Patriots. Come on.
He's tarnished his legacy beyond repair.
Duke laying 6.5 points on the road, over under 51.5. 2:30 p.m. Central ACC Network. I mean, Duke, yikes. Last week, yikes. 4.5 point favorite. They get blown out by Virginia. What in the world? North Carolina, I wasn't too surprised. It's not like they've been good all year, and that game was, they were hanging in there with Wake, just pulled away at the end. But what do you think in this one, Burns?
Yeah, I mean, that's another one. Like, it was cute talking about Duke winning the ACC with 4 losses, but just let that narrative seep into our brain of Virginia's a good team, Duke is not. That was disrespectful last week. Yeah, and the under did not come in for UNC Wake, 28-12, disgusting game. But I mean, UNC has been playing significantly better on defense, so it was a little surprising to see a very mediocre Wake offense kind of do whatever they wanted. This game is just so ugly and sick, but it is the Duke UNC rivalry. I feel like Duke, if they do come to play, like maybe Bill will have some secret sauce, but that offense should be able to outpace anything North Carolina can do, right?
I just don't love the way Duke has been trending here, especially last week. Really discouraging stuff. I think North Carolina keeps it close and maybe even wins outright.
Wow. Okay. 51.5, maybe too many points. Maybe we go under.
Yeah. What about Arkansas taking on Texas? You got Texas at home laying 9.5 points. ABC 2:30 p.m. Central, 57.5 is your total. Texas is pretty much done. It would take a miracle for them to make the playoff. Arkansas, season to forget. You like anything?
This is who I would say the 3-loss team would be. So I don't think that's a miracle necessarily. Like Tennessee would be a miracle.
Yeah.
But if Texas beats Texas A&M, they'd have wins over Texas A&M, Vanderbilt, and
Oklahoma.
So 3 teams ahead of them.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if Oklahoma just slips up one, they're obviously behind them. They could jump Vanderbilt 3-2 because of the head-to-head and Vanderbilt having absolutely no impressive wins. So this game means something. I like the over in this game. I know with how wishy-washy this offense has been, but this is right there with Rutgers. I'm not even kidding with how bad Arkansas's defense is. Bottom
Yeah.
20 in every single meaningful category. They're 2-8. This team's 2-8 with they'll be on the book next year for single digit losses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 one score losses. Insane.
Well, I guess you just answered my question. Because my question to you is, why is this line only 9.5? Because it really, to me, feels like a Texas smash spot.
Yeah, I mean, we do have Notre Dame beat the shit out of Arkansas, obviously. But yeah, they've held in last week. LSU at Tennessee, they held on. Uh, at Ole Miss, they hung on. A lot of tough road schedule.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's all about can Sarkisian get out of his own way? I'd rather stick to the over here. I could see Arkansas's offense, and Taylor Green is that impressive offensively to like keep us in it till the end. If we took Arkansas, like
Mm-hmm.
Arkansas is down 15, they get that touchdown late, about a minute 5 to go. So I could see it getting under the number, but I could see it flirting right there the whole game.
For sure. How about Tulane taking on Temple? Tulane laying 8.5, over under 56.5, 2:45 p.m. Central, ESPNU. Tulane certainly has to win this game.
Yeah, without a doubt. Right now, they are the ones in the playoff. I have plus 800 for them to make the playoff preseason.
Wow.
Man, this is a great season to bet G5, right? Boise State just fell off the map, and they were the overwhelming favorite coming into the season. But hey, this Temple team, they've just kind of hung around all season. 5 wins, win away from bowling, 3-3 in the conference. They've just kind of been a chameleon team where they allow 37 to Tulsa and then they just keep it 14-13 to Army. Like in Navy was 32-31. They just kind of hold pace with the team. So I actually see Tulane staying in a one-score game with Temple here. And I see this game being close, a little too close if you're a Green Wave fan.
Yeah, it's a tricky spot. Temple, remember when they played Oklahoma back at home way early on in the year?
Yeah.
So, they're looking to play spoiler.
Oh, big time. Big time. In Tulane's defense, I need to see more out of you. Need to see more out of you before we can really get behind you as any sort of belief, because the early line for them against Texas Tech, who would be the opponent, would be 21.5 round 1.
Interesting. We're going to need Temple Tough to show up on Saturday.
Temple Tough. I love the Owls. Who?
Nice. Shout out Rocky Sin. That definitely was pass interference, though. Right, Burns?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Lions, Eagles.
Oh, fuck no. That's such
Blatant
bullshit.
PI.
Oh, my God. Yeah, that was just tough. Losing Texas, and then I didn't really bet anything, and besides, a couple props that bad Sunday for me.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the Big Ten, shall we? Where Michigan remains on the road, and they have to travel to Maryland, where they're laying 13.5. The over-under is 45.5, 3 p.m. Central, Big Ten Network. Yeah, do you think Michigan covers 2 touchdowns in this spot?
I don't know. It's a weird game. We didn't talk about it with Ohio State, but, rivalry week next week, a lot of these teams are in for a look-ahead spot as well. So I know that's a little less meaningful with, like a team for Ohio State with the 12-team aspect, like it was just win the final week and you're in. Not necessarily the case for Michigan here. They're going to need some other stuff to happen for them winning out. But when it comes to this game itself, very, very interesting. Michigan statistically last week beat the shit out of Northwestern. The only problem is they turned the ball over 5 times. And I get like people telling me like win replacement or win probability. It's like, yeah, for nerds, that stuff is great. But on the football field, turnovers are a part of the game. That's what gives you an advantage. I'm sure on paper, Oklahoma stinks ass to the nerds. But guess what? Their defense creates turnovers because Alabama outgained Oklahoma by XYZ. Yeah, no shit. But they also brought the pressure and completely disrupted what Alabama wanted to do. And that's how you can beat a team without outgaining them. Like, it's not that crazy of a concept.
Right.
But Northwestern did look pretty bad on offense. That's just more of a shot at Alabama, Oklahoma than it was at Northwestern Michigan. The right team probably did win last week, but it was very sweaty.
Yeah, I think I could only look at Michigan laying the points here. I feel like they had their scare last week on the road, and now is the time to say, whew, we got away with that one. Now let's get serious and, make sure we take care of our business and then get ready for Ohio State. But Maryland, they had a nice stretch there where they were playing some close games, and you're like, oh, maybe this program's kind of on the up. And, then they lost to Indiana by 45, lost to Rutgers by 15. And then last week they lose to Illinois by 18. So this is just a team that, if the offense shows up, the defense doesn't. If the defense shows up, the offense doesn't. I think Michigan is going to be able to win and cover. So I'd lay it.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. That was a great season. Sorry to any Maryland fans out there that Loxley officially returning. I did get ball sacked. He was not fired a couple weeks ago, but he is officially returning, and I'm sure Maryland fans hope that they're getting ball sacked with that announcement.
Yes.
Couple things though. Jordan Marshall left the game last week against Northwestern, and Justice Haynes, from all things that I've heard from somewhat reliable sources and not just message board Twitter freaks, looks like Justice Haynes is probably out for the season with that foot injury and surgery that he needed. So Michigan down to the third string running back. Bryce Underwood looking very shaky. I don't know. Urban had one of these games at Maryland, if you remember, double overtime. Crazy game right before Ohio State. It's
Good
just,
call.
this game would mean see, that's the thing, though, is when you're a good high-profile team, it means everything in the world to the other team. So, like, getting beat by Rutgers and Illinois is one thing. But when the blue blood of the conference comes through, that could make, these kids' entire seasons and also keep a bowl alive for Maryland. So I am probably going to stay away from this game, but if it gets above 14, I might seriously consider laying Maryland.
Okay. How about Nebraska taking on Penn State? NBC, 6 p.m. Central. You got Penn State laying 9.5, over under 44.5. Nebraska is going to be playing a quarterback who is making his second career start. And Nebraska's run defense this season hasn't been good. And they're going up against a Penn State team who is just going to want to run the ball with Singleton and Katron Allen. But you got Penn State with a quarterback, a pretty new quarterback themselves, who's only made a handful of starts. And, I thought Penn State didn't look great against Michigan State on the offensive side of the ball last week. Like, yes, they did enough because Penn State's defense kept stopping Michigan State's offense. So eventually they just kept getting the ball back enough where they were finally able to put up some points and win that game 28-10. But I think 9.5 is a little too rich here, even if it is a night game at Penn State. I don't see why I should lay 9.5 points against a Nebraska team who is not good, but they're not bad. At the very least, they're average. So, and the backup quarterback for Nebraska looked good against UCLA. And I know Penn State's better than UCLA, but I think Nebraska keeps it within the number.
Yeah. Low number, but I like the under here. A couple reasons why. Two very disciplined teams, both top 20 in penalties per game on the good side. And then Penn State's defensive line should eat this fucking Nebraska offensive line alive, though. I mean, we saw Minnesota just completely eviscerate Nebraska from a trenches standpoint. That's where I see this number being in jeopardy, is that aspect of the game. That's something that hasn't improved for Nebraska. A little mobility from this quarterback could keep that in play. Nebraska, 118th in the country in yards per rush. That's also a little concerning for wanting to get behind Nebraska. But all that to be said, I think it does stay close. But I'm going to take the under instead.
Okay. And then the final game on the SICKO slate is North Texas at Rice. What a way to close us out. North Texas laying 18.5 points on the road, over under 55.5, 6:30 p.m. Central, ESPNU. Go.
Well, I got to tell you, man, North Texas has been a moneymaker for us. These boys just press. It's impressive. I'll tell you what. 53 last week against UAB. But, they've played teams with similar, archetypes. And Army allowed 48 in overtime, and Army scored 38. Meanwhile, Navy game, which we were on the over and whiffed, I thought was much more opportunities left on the field than our normal whiff. Here, I like the over in this game. Shocking. Rice is one of the slowest moving teams in the country. But when these option-like teams have to keep up is when the points really start flying. Because they either can't keep up and the other team continues to score. But I think Rice is able to create enough misdirection to get this line over where we want it to go.
Okay. Yeah, North Texas can certainly put up the points. And, while we're talking about that conference, it was a good season for South Florida. Disappointing end, but a good season.
Yep. Just beat down from start to finish in that Navy game. Was on the over, wasn't on the side, but yeah, it was never close. I mean, USF just defense never showed up, and good bounce back for Navy. I mean, they were down bad there, but now they're back alive.
Yep. All right. Well, cool. That is the slate for week 13.
Do you have any other games that you wanted to mention or anything?
No, I'm good.
Not your Iowa-Michigan State matchup?
Not that game. I think the only one that I would want to mention would be Illinois at Wisconsin.
Oh.
Illinois is clearly the better team. Wisconsin has been playing a little bit better to close out the year, but I still think Illinois finds a way to win and cover.
On the road, right? Do we know what the weather is? Because that's a night game at Camp Randall.
I think it's clear because I've been checking the forecast for Green Bay. I'm going to the game this weekend, and
that's this weekend.
Forecast looks pretty good for Green Bay, so I think it'll be good in Madison.
Hell yeah, brother! I love that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Let's fucking go.
Yep. Fly out to Chicago tomorrow.
Oh hell yeah! Go, Pack, go.
You said who cares about Malik Willis's touchdown pass, so get the fuck out of here.
I didn't even know he was on the Packers.
Okay. Fair enough.
Well, we have our, I'm sorry here. Mac Messiah. Nope, we don't need to. Do we need to recap that?
It's up to you, brother.
Yeah, I can recap it. Very brutal finish to the week, and very brutal start to this week. But here's last week, 3-3 for Mac Messiah. We closed out with a loss there on the over Eastern Michigan. Ball State just couldn't get into the end zone. A lot of red zone opportunities. PU. And add this to one of my worst bets of the optically on the entire season. UMass plus 11. Kicked a field goal to cut the lead late, 45-3. So
nice.
Yeah, that was a tough one. Good thing it only counts as one loss in the loss category.
Yep.
And then this week, off to a 1-2 start on 3 games on Tuesday, unfortunately. I've got a serious bone to pick with the Ohio Bobcats. You're up 2 scores. UMass has no timeouts. It's 4th down on the 1.5-yard line. 2-minute warning. You're up 3 scores, actually. I'm sorry, 3 scores. 35-14. Just kneel the ball. What are we doing here? I mean, have some fucking class. They run it in, over hits on like the last play. So
disgusting.
Truly disgusting. Akron gets home. Northern Illinois jumps out to a 13-0 lead, just to allow 35 unanswered to Western. So,
oof.
Yeah, tough. Just kicked off the other 2 games, though. Feeling confident. I like the over in Kent and Central Michigan. Following that's play of the day. Currently 25-17 in the 49 straight days of betting football. In also pretty decent return there. Buffalo plus 1.5 too. DeQuan Finn has retired from Miami or something. They parted ways in a weird sequence of events. No one knew he wasn't going to play until about an hour before the Toledo game last week. And as we covered, it's funny to listen back of just Mayer asking me to Venmo, and Toledo ends up just completely decimating that Miami team. But their backup quarterback looks, I'm not even kidding, like shouldn't be starting in an FCS school. So I think Buffalo gets on track here. Wins outright. Unfortunately, that will kill our Miami season total over. That's okay. Get it back with this win. And then Toledo minus 27 on Sunday, or on Saturday. Sunday. They should be playing on Sundays, if you ask me. What do you think, Mayor? Do you think Toledo gets 27 covered at home?
Who are they playing?
They're playing Ball State.
No, I think Ball State keeps it within the number.
You think Ball State keeps it within the number, huh?
Yeah, Candle's never been great as a big favorite, and I know he won last week, but yeah, you got to go with Ball State.
Well, their last 3 times at home in MAC play, 42-3, 45-10, 45-3 were the finals.
They haven't seen a team like this Ball State team, though.
I got to tell you what, neither have I when I watched them last week against Eastern Michigan. And I know it's very scary, but I'm leaning towards Toledo minus 27 at home against Ball State. I mean, this defense is just so pure. Number 1 in the country against the pass and EPA in the pass plays. Number 3 in the country in available yards. I mean, this defense is for real. Multiple NFL players talk about it a lot. MAC offenses having to play it is unfair. So I like getting there. I might go Ball State team total under as well.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, you got a winning record this year, winning record in 2023 and 2024. Let's close out right.
I agree, Alex. I think that's a tremendous, tremendous idea. Should we talk about teaser, pleaser, quad box?
Yeah, let's go. Let's get into it, baby.
Okay. Yep. Let me get the maybe. Here it is.
Baby.
No. Nope. You got to download it. Download it first, then we can upload it. Yeah, I think it's an interesting week with SEC basically taking a bye. But I think we found some winners in here. What do you think?
Well, I hope so. You know, it would be nice to hit a teaser. We're now negative on the season in terms of being up or down unit standpoint. We've come close many times on the teaser. You know, lots of five for 6 weeks, but it would be really nice to win one.
I agree.
So I'll start. My teaser picks this week. I got Texas from 9.5 to -3 at home against Arkansas. What could go wrong? I have Pitt being teased up from +2.5 to +9 against Georgia Tech. And then I got Nebraska from +9.5 to +16 against Penn State. Those are going to be my picks.
I love it, Alex. I really do. And I'm kind of in a similar wagon here. Stay away from those favorites, but I do like Oklahoma to end up finding a way to win, even if it's within a score. So us getting to -1 can only push. So we'll take that. Arkansas, Texas over. Again, Taylor Green will be able to get in the end zone. I think Texas will outpace them. Getting to 51 is great. And USC to +16. Even if it is a 2-score game, I think 16 is still a little bit much. I think USC stays in this all 60 minutes.
That looks like a 6-0 week to me, and we are going to be cashing that +650 ticket.
On top of a 60-1 ticket.
Which we haven't done horrible with. Now, granted, we're in it to win it, but here's the pleaser.
So I think overall we've gone 3-1, 1-3, 1-3. If my math is right there, that's 5-7, but they're all like +190. So that's definitely, if you took them all individually, a plus units.
Exactly. Yep. All right, so let's go. You can start with your pleaser picks this week.
Yeah, I just think anything in the 50s is too low for this North Texas team right now. I know Rice runs that triple option slow pace. I think North Texas makes them keep up with their pace. I like the over getting there from 55.5 to 62. And then USC, I think they can win this game outright. So I'm going to take them down to +3.5.
I love it. And then on my end, I'm going to go Minnesota. They're +3.5 on the road at Wrigley Field, taking on Northwestern. I think you got two similar teams here, so I don't think Minnesota going from +3.5 to -2.5 is all that far fetched in this spot. So I'm going to take that, and then I'm going to take Florida from +4.5, and then we're going to lay 1.5 instead against Tennessee. You know, they already beat Texas at home. And I think they can do it again this week against Tennessee in a rivalry game, no less. So those are my picks, Minnesota and Florida.
Starting us off with Minnesota Northwestern as the lone leg is electric. So, like, if that one hits, like, because the others are 2:30, 7, and 6:30, I think.
Gives us some excitement.
Man. Yeah, that looks good. And then we're going to bring it back because I'm spineless and I love the quad box parlay. So let me go ahead and share the screen here and we'll pick out a slot. This one could be difficult. All right, let's start at noon here. Can you see that?
It's blurry, but I can see it, and I can make it out.
Okay. Tight little noon window here. I don't think we want to touch anything. I would let it go to the 1 p.m. slate if we wanted to, because I think Washington State, James Madison would be worth a nibble. But noon slate, a lot of double-digit spreads here. Didn't talk about Kansas, Iowa State. That's an interesting game, but
Yeah.
let's move on. 2:30 slate. Ball State, Toledo. Oh, 3:30. It's Eastern time. Ugh. Ugh. Oh, I guess USC Oregon is one, but Kentucky Vandy, and then
I guess we're going to the night slate.
Man, it's just slim pickings this week, huh? Pitt, Georgia Tech.
Yeah. You like the over?
I do. Tennessee, Florida, Nebraska, Penn State, North Texas, Rice. Why don't we each pick two?
Okay. I'll go Illinois, Wisconsin. Let's go Illinois -3.5. Let's buy that down.
Okay. I like that.
And then for Tennessee, Florida, let's go Florida plus the points. Florida plus 4.5.
Okay. I like that. And then I'm going to go BYU -2.5. We'll just do BYU money line.
It's a good pick.
We'll just go BYU -2.5. All right. So BYU -2.5. Pitt, Georgia Tech over. And then we're going to go Illinois by the points to 3.5. And then Florida plus 4.5. Should pay right around plus 700. 7-1.
Sweet. That's
going to be good. That's a nice way to cap off the night.
Yes. Maybe a whiskey.
Ooh.
And a beer.
A whiskey and a wager.
Hey-o.
Wrapping up the early slate here. Any plays already? I know you're heading out to Wisconsin for the Sunday games. EU. Saturday, Alex. This is Saturday.
This podcast is Saturday. No doubt about it. No plays for me as of yet. Haven't locked anything in. Again, I'll probably look to be selective. And, man, let's be up like 6 units this week, just for me alone.
I like that. I like that a lot. All right. Early on, I like Miami with the points, 16, 17.5, 18.5, whatever, up to 20. I like Louisville money line, to be honest. Ohio State, I would take that under 52.5. I might look at the team total, to be honest. Oklahoma, Missouri under 44.5 is going to make the card. Mercer, Auburn. What the fuck? Get this shit out of here. Toledo team total over will probably make the card. UConn, Florida Atlantic. Didn't talk about that. Two fast-moving offenses. That's going to make the over card. We're going to go a little, overindulge during Thanksgiving season. How about that? I'm thankful for all the points that we'll be getting this week.
Yep.
How about that? Temple plus 8.5. I like that. Vanderbilt, let's lay 9.5. Let's take 9.5 with USC. And I'm going to sprinkle on that money line. This is going to be a fat little turkey card, Alex.
Sounds like it. You're betting every game on the board.
Over Pitt, Georgia Tech, BYU -2.5. And then I'm sorry this is just one game that we didn't talk about. Don't need to talk about it, but I just want your quick, just unabashed thoughts. completely ugly. Kansas State at Utah.
Oh, got to be
17
Utah.
and a half point spread, Utah.
I know it's crazy, but Utah, they're a wagon at home. K-State almost lost to Oklahoma State last week.
How ugly. Avery Johnson is, man. I'll be talking about him
Brutal.
for years to come. Yep. Untouchable game. So, yeah, those are 10 plays or so, plus my Maction. Probably have more, but look out for those cards. I'm going to try and go live on Friday. Thank you all, as always.
Thank you, guys.
It's been real. Can't wait to see you for Rivalry Week next week.
Let's go. Goodbye.
Love you. Bye.